Ciao a tutti cari amici, ciao a tutti, bentornati, welcome to everyone. Oggi siamo con la grande, strepitosa, magnifica Cathy O'Brien. Hello Cathy, nice to meet you again.
It's good to see you. Thank you for having me on.
This is our second interview, questa intervista sarà in inglese perché Cathy parla in inglese dall'America. Cathy, chi non la conoscesse, ha avuto un'esperienza terribile di MK Ultra e di tutte quelle vicissitudini che sono emerse di recente negli Epstein Files, questo lo dico in italiano, poi l'intervista sarà in inglese, e negli Epstein Files e tutte quelle assurde faccende, brutali, mostruose faccende che sono emerse a livello di questo network di pedocannibalismo che purtroppo ora con la guerra se ne parla un po' meno, però insomma che è uno scandalo probabilmente senza precedenti nella nostra storia, perlomeno quella recente. Cathy è stata vittima, testimone di tutto questo, quindi vorrei riuscire a fare una connessione tra quello che emerge da questi file e la sua esperienza personale. So Cathy, I told to Italian speakers that Epstein files revealed to the world something very brutal, which is this network, worldwide network of pedo-satanic ritual abuses in the maximum level of our society and society, and that you have been inside this traffic since you was a child, that you have witnessed and suffered all kind of torture and pains. So I would like to make some kind of connection between what is emerging in these files and what is your experience with those kind of monsters which are ruling the world.
Yes, I have been speaking out for over 35 years on MK Ultra mind control, healing from it, the funding mechanism of drug and human trafficking across open borders that these globalist perpetrators are using, and that child sex trafficking is key. In my lifetime, I was used and trafficked within this network, this cabal, this same group of people. And I've waited a lifetime for people to wake up and see it. I've waited all this time, and now the Epstein files have come out, and that is bringing to light what I've been saying my whole life. It's like what we're seeing today isn't new. What's new is we're finally seeing it.
In your opinion, do you believe that the today network is more structured than 30, 40 years ago? Or are like the same rules, the same environment?
Same environment, same formula for mind control. Trauma is the basis of it, and it includes sleep, food, and water deprivation. It is about genetic alteration, experimentation. That is the Project Monarch sub-project of MK Ultra. This formula was brought into the US through Project Paperclip. That's when we imported Nazi and fascist scientists into the US in the wake of World War II. With them came this formula for mind control. It was found there's no trauma more horrific on the human mind than sexual abuse of a child prior to age 5 while the brain is still forming. So the pedophile agenda is a mind control agenda. And it's a part of that same formula that I was born into, sold into by my father, and subjected to for 30 years until I was lifted from that victimization.
When you saw in the news that was coming out this Epstein Files scandal, what you thought and felt?
I was hopeful that people would realize that it's the tip of an iceberg. It's just one thread that if we start pulling it will unravel the whole globalist tapestry that has been weaved my entire life. This has gone on generations. So I hope people look deeper and go to the roots. If we don't uproot the whole problem, it will just pop up somewhere else. So we need to understand exactly what it entails and evolve with knowledge that's our defense against mind control going forward. Evolve back to understanding our own mind brain function so that our children are no longer targeted and abused. If we don't start protecting our children, then humanity, our very humanity, the essence of who we are, our whole life's purpose is being eroded.
And this has been a huge scandal. Everyone in the world was talking about that. But after a few days, it's like nothing. It's people are busy with their life. Many things happened, the war in Iran and many other things. So people are forgetting about that.
People are easily distracted by design. They've been conditioned for generations to look outside themselves to big government, big pharma, big tech, big cult to cult religion to tell them how to live their lives. When in fact, we've got all the power within us, but while we're distracted looking outside ourselves rather than looking within, then we are easily led and waiting on government to fix it for us, waiting on someone else to do what we need to do. When we go within, we realize it's up to us. We have all the power. These perpetrators only have as much power as we give them or let them steal, whether it's through the media or through trauma after trauma, whatever it is. We need to realize that we do not have to comply. And people are waking up. The Great Awakening is real, but we need more.
Because normal people, they find absolutely difficult to accept that those rulers of the world, these politicians and big figures, are able to capture kids, cut their bodies and eat them. You have been in this environment for a lot of years. They are able to do all this.
Yes, they are. And what's difficult for people who have been conditioned to good and evil, black and white, it's hard for them to look over here to realize we share this planet with a very dark, negative energy force. It's low vibration. They feed off of low vibration. They feed off of fear, trauma, hatred, division, negativity. That's their vibration. They haven't been around them in the Washington, D.C. swamp. I know they are not like us, and they do not like us. And their greatest fear is the strength of the human spirit and the infinite power of love, because that's a high vibration they cannot reach. So what they do is use mind control, trauma, to freeze our brains in fright and leave our subconscious open to being led and manipulated. Mind control is a spiritual warfare. It is intended to keep us from going within and remembering who we are, why we're here, remembering that we have all the power. We have the victory within us. We have within us what they fear, the strength of the human spirit and the infinite power of love. When we remember that, it's game over, because it would be like their darkness can't creep in on our light. Our light exposes the secrets going on in their darkness. And that's what we need to do. We have no need to fear accepting the reality that they are not like us and do not like us. We have to step aside from religious conditioning, step over here and realize a different form of evil that is eroding humanity unless we stand up against it and say no more.
I asked you in the beginning if between your times in the network and now there are some difference, because it seems like in the past it was more covered. Now we have musicians, artists, people from the television, entertainment, which are clearly and without any sort of embarrassment showing their symbols and having this very weird behavior in front of the cameras, in front of the people, and saying very weird stuff about blood rituals, about eating human meat, about clones. So today they are like without any shame anymore.
Yes, they think people have been conditioned sufficiently to accept their way and using it as a trauma on others to lead them further. They have no shame because the awareness is rising and people are seeing it now. And it's a great awakening that's happening as a result, and they can't hide it anymore. When I was a child, people didn't have cell phones and cameras in their hand all the time. They didn't have the internet to talk through. They didn't have that kind of connection. So it was easier for them to hide in their secret meeting places, their Epstein Islands of the time, like in my childhood was Mackinac Island, Michigan. Other ones we need to consider are any place these globalists meet in private and keep us out, like Davos. You know, that is a secret meeting we're not allowed to go to where they talk about what they can do. So there's still more that needs to be revealed so people realize their own power. It's happening, but it's happening slow. And they are seeing the horror of the reality of it more and more because they aren't hiding it anymore. The symbols are in plain sight, and yet there are so many people who are working round the clock to try to make ends meet. They're exhausted. They're trying to get food on the table, and the food has been tainted and altered, bioengineered, genetically altered to starve the brain. So we're being hit from different levels. The water is contaminated with fluoride, and it erodes critical analysis-free thought. So people are being bombarded from many angles, including through the controlled education system. And so it takes a lot for people to wake up.
Many times you talk about the trauma which is needed to have the mind control of the people. How is important the sexual abuse or the sexual trauma to have the control of the people which are getting inside the trap of this network?
Yeah, the most basic form of mind control is repetition. And the media repeats the same thing over and over, conditioning people that pedophilia is a sexual preference and should be legal, when in fact it is a control mechanism that has nothing to do with sexual preference. It's the basis of mind control. We need to understand our own mind-brain function and how our brains respond to trauma so that we stand up against this. Understanding the formula for mind control and the sliding scale of it is from the kind of torturous, robotic MK Ultra mind control I experienced to information control, because we all formulate our thoughts, opinions, and ultimately actions based on what we know. We need to know our knowledge base has been deliberately altered for a long, long time to lead us outside ourselves, to allow for this sexualization an erosion of our children. Our children are being trafficked and harvested. In my lifetime, that has gone from a more obscure thing to the most lucrative business on the planet. Follow the money, we see how true that is. Why would trafficking children and using children in blackmail operations, taking children to places like Epstein Island for what's worse than sexual abuse? Why is all that happening? Because it is their biggest money maker, and we can defund the globalist agenda when we stop child sex trafficking and realize it's a mind control agenda. It's the way our brains respond to trauma. We have to remember our birthright information on how our brains respond in order to have defense against it. Knowledge is our defense against mind control, and it is the truth that will empower us to effectively protect our children and the evolution of humanity going forward.
The network seems being massive at every level.
Yes. Yes.
So it needs many people which are covering itself in every level of the structure. Do you believe that every politician, every journalist knows about the network, or there are many people which are simply don't know, even in the high position of the society?
Yes, there's only a handful at the top. When you follow the money, you find it's the same handful at the top of the pyramid. Then they use blackmail to hold each other in line, because when they compromise people by blackmail and make them do what they say, then they have control over them. The blackmail vaults are extensive. They use blackmail because they don't trust each other either. They know most people would not comply without being blackmailed, without being coerced, have their families' lives threatened. You know, there's different ways that they're controlling people. So at the very top, there's not that many. There's just many who have been compromised. Also, factoring varying levels of mind control into the equation. The children that were sexually abused from infancy, raised in the trauma base, conditioned to do what they're told, are in positions too. So we need this great awakening as people wake up from the mind control they're under, from their varying levels of mind manipulation. So it's a multi-layered process of awakening, because there's many people who are being controlled in different ways by a handful of puppet masters at the top who also own the media and use the media voice to amplify their voice and make them look like there's more of them than there are. It's inexcusable that we allow this handful of puppet masters to manipulate all of humanity on a global scale. But it is our ignorance of them that has allowed for that to happen.
There are many Jeffrey Epsteins around the world.
Yes, yes. And Epstein is the one who came to light. I've found in my day, Gerald Ford, who went on to become the unelected president of the United States, is who thrust me into MK Ultra when he was just at my grandfather's Blue Masonic Lodge, where secrets on mind control are kept. I was a toddler when I was first prostituted to him, and he's the one who knew I'd been sexually abused since infancy and that I would be highly suggestible and easily led. So he thrust me into MK Ultra and decided where I would be used and how I would be traumatized further with Satanism and blood trauma, and prostituted and used further, raped as a little child repeatedly. So he was like an Epstein then. And the information coming out is that Epstein, when he was younger, was close with Gerald Ford back then. So even though there are different Epsteins, it's still an inner working network of the same ones. The one I knew who was most horrific was George Bush Sr. and Hillary Clinton. Those two are the very, very worst. They are in my 1995 testimony for Congress, Transformation of America. That's why national security was invoked on that testimony, because it is truth. It has evidence. It was proven by intelligence communities and Secret Service. It had all been proven. So the evidence to stop these ones at the top, we have the evidence. It's just they have manipulated justice systems worldwide. So they are able to stay away from being prosecuted. But we've got the evidence. We need to understand that and realize that we have all the power, and we need to just simply stop complying with their demands.
Before you talk about blackmailing, inside the government, inside the Congress, inside high positions of the politics, there are people which are really against, which are hating this kind of network and abuses, or all of them are agreeing on this?
Many oppose it.
Okay.
And an intelligence insider, Mark Phillips, was working the highest levels of intelligence to preserve the sanctity of free thought. He had many friends, and those friends were in high positions of power, not only in the United States, but on a global scale. There was high-level intelligence determined to expose and take down this network all the way back then. Now, there's many in that position of power. Many in the United States are saying the power is returned to the people. Stop following government. Take back your power. Talk to each other in your own community, eye to eye, heart to heart, soul to soul. Make a difference there. Make a difference in education, in your own justice system, in your own voting system, because votes are compromised worldwide. We hear about it all the time, but nothing's being done about it because the puppet masters own the voting machines, electronic voting machines. So it's hard to take that down. So we need to step over here and start taking back our power locally, because that local action has national impact, has global impact, and it's what people worldwide need to do. In the United States, the network is massive, and the people are peacefully taking back self-control in their community. And I'm very, very, very busy with this network of people taking back their freedom, who are wanting to help the children, who are wanting to know the best way to heal from trauma. Because I healed from 30 years of torturous trauma by using birthright capabilities, the resiliency of body, mind, and spirit. People see I am healed. They see that for 35 years, I have not been triggered back in. For 35 years, my testimony is the same. And they say, how can that be? How do we share that with others? So I'm giving voice to that, to empower people, to help others. And it keeps me very busy. I have 3 books in a healing trilogy: PTSD, Time to Heal, Resolutions, and my latest release, Align with the Divine. Align with the Divine is helping more than just survivors of trauma. It's helping everyone, because this is a traumatic planet and everyone has experienced something, and it's helping them remember their own power. to take that back peacefully, to re-ground in nature, to reground in our own nature, to reground with animals and the beauty of the miracles that unfold around us, so that we look at something besides just the trauma, to remember the beauty of what life is supposed to hold. So because people are wanting that information, my voice is being used very strongly in that capacity.
From the files, is clear that this network is have a devotion for the figure of Baal, of this demon. Why for those people it's needed to have worship the worshipping of these kind of entities, demons, and why they are obsessed with the rituals and the secrets and the secret societies?
The rituals oftentimes are a matter of using it as a trauma base, and people who know the effect of that trauma are more worshiping their own evil than they are worshiping an evil outside themselves. But either way, evil is evil, dark is dark. You know, the low vibration is low vibration. And they use that to traumatize people. In the satanic rituals, when victims are tortured and traumatized, and the blood is, they drink the blood from that. That is how adrenochrome came about, is because they found that traumatized blood had effects they want. So again, it's not that they're worshiping religiously the evil, as they are tapping into that evil in order to feed off of the negativity of their own source, which is a very low vibration, something very different from us, whether we call it demonic or alien, whatever we call it. It's not like us, and it is determined to bring our vibration low enough to align us with artificial intelligence. So that helps us to understand the end game is something off center of what we religiously perceive. And in the meantime, they keep us religiously perceiving their evil over there, so that we don't look over here and see that it's something different that is very much within our realm to control. All we have to do is reclaim our free thought, free will.
There is something that you would like to say to those monsters which are leading the network?
It's laughable how desperate they are now. Having seen their plan and what it was supposed to be and how it was supposed to unfold, it's not happening. They lost control. They lost control quite a few years back. They have been desperate. 2020, they were so desperate, they went all in with mind control masked as a virus and unleashed it on the global population. They were so frantic, they made a big mistake. Yes, they use repetition. How many times did everyone here mask up, social distance, get the injection? Everybody around the world heard it over and over to program us. They made a mistake with the shelter at home, because by sheltering at home, we broke routine patterns. Mind control needs to shut down neuron pathways in the brain. If we break routine patterns, we have to think in new ways, which opens neuron pathways in the brain. So they made a big mistake 2020 when they were determined to take back control. It didn't work. They woke more people up because more people started to see that something wasn't right. And now we're at a point where this great awakening has reached critical mass. And to me, it's laughable. People say, "Why aren't you afraid?" Because they got that from me the first 30 years when I was under their mind control. They're not going to get any more of that from me. I'm going to live the love I am. I'm going to keep my vibration high, and I'm going to laugh at them all the way, because they lost, they lose, They know it's game over. And so that's what I would say to them. They did their best to take control of me and to take control of the world, and they lost.
Thank you so much, Katie.
Thank
you so
you.
much for today and for all your experience and all your life. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I wish you a great continuation in this life. I hope in the end we will have really some years of normal life in this world, at least. And really, thank you so much.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Bye
Bye-bye.
bye, Katy, and ciao a tutti quelli che ci hanno seguito. Grazie.